Mister, how do you operate this Twitter thing or this Instagram thing or whatever the heck? You're supposed to know all this stuff. Anyway, welcome back to the show.
Every show, you can join us in the Fanatics feedback zone, and if your comments are worthy, we will read them. Like this from Ryan McCarthy. Omaha went 16-43-3 this season. Yepirov was responsible for half of their wins. Or this one. Roberto Luongo was drafted by the Islanders. He was then traded to Florida. Then the Isles drafted Rick DiPietro. Shows you how terrible of a GM Mike Milbury was. Those comments and more can come from you if you join us every day inside the Fanatics feedback zone. Speaking of Fanatics and speaking of feedback, how about this? We have the token female joining us right now from Chicago. Allison Moran now joins us. Good morning, Allie. How are you, my dear?
Hey.
Good morning, you guys. How are you doing?
We're doing great. It's good to have you with us as always. And speaking of being with us, how about Angel Reese and the incredible season she's putting up? And the streak continues of double-doubles for Angel Reese.
Exactly. 10 in a row, most in the WNBA ever. I mean, how great is she? She is the reason to watch the Chicago Sky this year. There is no other reason. There is no other reason. And, you know, every single game, she is doing it. She is the one to watch. She's the one in the paint. She's the one under the net. She's the one. And, you know, I only could wish for 10 more Angel Reeses as the season goes on, because it certainly isn't happening with the Chicago Sky. 6-11. I mean, 6-11. And this woman, Angel Reese, is going to be a Hall of Famer eventually. If her rookie season continues, by the way, 7th in the All-Star balloting this year. She is also an All-Star. An unbelievable choice, an unbelievable miracle of a season for the Chicago Sky. And I believe that the only way that you are going to have a team worth its salt is to build that team around Angel Reese. Mm-hmm. Thoughts, guys, on this.
You know what? I can say this aloud. Going into this season, I had my doubts about Angel Reese because I really had my doubts about Angel Reese because of this. Because of her mental capacity after Iowa beat them in the Elite Eight. And I wondered how she was going to turn it around. First couple of games, I saw her, you know, just piling up the points and the rebounds. And I'm thinking, okay, I still thought there was something missing. That's a lie. Angel Reese, and from a fellow who's covered basketball, especially women's basketball, I've covered women's basketball for 30 years. I can now say Angel Reese has made a liar out of me because she is doing what she is supposed to do, and that's hang out under the net and get as many points and rebounds there. That is her wheelhouse. As Caitlin Clark is outside shooting the threes, that's her wheelhouse. Every player has their wheelhouse, and now I can honestly say Angel Reese has hers. And boy, she is taking advantage of it.
You're not wrong.
She has richly deserved her BET Sportswoman of the Year award already for breaking the record that was set by Candace Parker, our own Candace Parker. God, we miss you, Candace. Back in 2015, and I don't see that streak ending tonight. I think it's going to continue against the Atlanta Dream. I do believe that it's just, you know, she could get 12, 15.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised before the All-Star break.
She could lead she could average a double-double for the season before the season is over.
I mean, she is right there. And the fact of the matter is, with Angel Reese, the one thing she's developed after leaving college, she's starting to develop that 15-foot game.
Yes.
And that was what was needed.
And that's the piece I was looking for her to add that mid-range jump shot to her game, a la Elena Deladon. And Allie, you and I were there for Elena's rookie year in Chicago when she took us to the WNBA finals. Boy, I was looking for that piece from Angel Reese, and she is developing it. She is developing it well. But question to you, my dear, how do the Sky harness that and take that energy to the rest of their team and turn this season around? You still got time. You're still in the playoff race. But
as I said, I think you have to build this team around Angel Reese. I think by developing, with Coach Spoon, she can. I think that she could very easily use Angel Reese, Kennedy Carter as a twosome, and then we get your and basically fill in the gaps as can be, on another in another area. I think what Spoon needs to do, I don't know that she's doing it yet, is to have more faith. She doesn't have faith in those players that actually could make a difference out there. What about Dana Evans? Let's get Dana Evans a little bit more involved, I think. I believe that she's got experience with this team. Let's maybe sit Diamond DeShields for a while. I mean, she's been having so much trouble, but let's get them involved. One thing that Spoon has said in the post-game interviews is that, the team's improving. The team is there. The team is almost there. But she refused to talk about what she said to the team after Sunday's loss to the Commissioner's Cup champion Minnesota
Lynx.
I was so mad at myself. I did not see the Minnesota Lynx coming on against the New York Liberty as they did. So my apologies to Cheryl Reeves and the team for screwing it up. But oh well, we can't win them all, can we?
Right. I want to send, before we go on, let me send a special shout out to two of my favorite women, Corey Irvin and Shanice Jenkins. Corey Irvin is now the head coach of women's basketball at Chicago State University. And Shanice Jenkins, who I predicted greatness for when she was at Whitney Young, is one of her assistants. So a shout out to two of my dearest friends who are now leading the charge at Chicago State. And me and the AD are going to have a little chat about me being their radio voice. Here's what's happened so far, because someone asked me about it. I may as well put it on out there. I reached out to the AD to see if I can strike a radio deal, and the response I got from him was, I'm paraphrasing here, that's weird for us to have someone from the outside come in and do that, and to do that. And then he also mentioned, is this going to build your profile? So I may try a little backdoor trick with the profile. And I even mentioned to him that I did women's basketball there for many, many years, from 96 to 2010. Yeah, still a brick wall in front of me. I'm gonna burrow through that. And there's a lot of people I know in Chicago that'll support me because they've seen me there. They've seen me at the Jones Convocations there. Hell, they saw me at the old arena calling women's basketball games. Yeah. So I'm going to get a couple recommendations for me to get that and develop that into my college basketball gig. And that's, of course, if something else doesn't come up toward the end of the summer. One of the other things that you wanted to talk about was the early returns for WNBA All-Star voting. And look at here, Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, tied at the hip and in the top 10 in voting. How incredible is that?
Oh, I think that they are well deserving of all of that. The All-Stars are going to be announced tonight around 9 o'clock Eastern, 8 o'clock Central Time. And for everybody out Pacific, you can figure out your time zone. But at the top is Asia Wilson, and with over 200,000 votes, and Caitlin Clark right behind her. I believe it was a little over 217,000 for Asia. Caitlin Clark 216,000. Angel at, I believe, 7th place with over 100,000 votes.
118,000 as a matter of fact. Wilson, 217. Yeah. Caitlin Clark, 216. Aaliyah Boston with 171. And look at the distance between Caitlin Clark and Aaliyah Boston. They're teammates on the favor, but look at the voting distance. Then you got MVP Brianna Stewart, Arika Ogunbowale, Sabrina Ionescu, and then 7 through 10 go Angel Reese, Kelsey Plum, Nefresa Collier, and De'Erica Harvey with just under 100,000 votes. Those are your top 10 vote getters. De'Erica Hamby. Thank you. De'Erica Hamby. I read that.
Yeah. What is a WNBA All-Star without Sabrina?
Yeah.
You're talking about the Liberty? Yeah.
I knew Sabrina would be an all-star just from watching her. And I love watching her. I love watching Sabrina.
She's fabulous. I mean, look at the spark she gives the Liberty. Look at how well the Liberty is doing because of her. I mean, she stepped up to this leadership role on the team, and it's a joy to watch her. I've watched her through college, and all I'm saying is Sabrina Ionescu is the New York Liberty at this point.
She is.
I just love her.
She's the new face of the Liberty, like Rebecca Lobo was during the league's inception. Aretha Witherspoon was. I mean, Sabrina Ionescu is the face of the Liberty. Speaking of faces, Angel Reese and the Sky go to Atlanta tonight to take on the Atlanta Dream. And this, I know it's early in the season. We haven't had the All-Star game. We haven't had the Olympic break yet. But if there's a definition of a must-win game for Chicago, this is a must-win game.
And they can do it because the Atlanta Dream right now is 7-10, and it's impossible, they've faced them twice this year. They've got I believe it's I can't remember right now if they won or two or they lost two. I believe that's what the record is. But the thing is that this is a very winnable game. Ryan Howard is not going to be playing tonight. They don't have, they've got a slew of injuries. They both lost their last two games. And I believe that the game is just as critical for the Atlanta Dream as it is for the Chicago Sky. Now, you let Angel Reese do her thing. You let them go, and then I believe there's every chance that they could actually win 7 games. But here's the deal, is that they've got to put up a defense. There is no defense out there. Ever since Elizabeth Williams went down, there is no defense.
Right.
And I want to see them actually figure out how to defend. And I don't think that they've got an answer yet.
No.
I am stumped as to how this is going to happen.
Yeah.
Now, my thing with Chicago is, how long is it going to take them to find their identity?
That's a great question, because just when it seems like they're putting it all together, a team comes around and breaks it apart, whether it be Indiana, whether it be Las Vegas, and they just tear them apart. The losses for the Sky save a couple against Indiana, they have been games where they have been torn to pieces. And Allison, you mentioned it best. They've been torn to pieces defensively, and they have yet to find that identity yet.
Right. They don't. And that's why I'm suggesting politely and gently that they start building the team around the two good producers on that team, Kennedy Carter and Angel Reese, and get the job done. Right. And this is not too early to make a trade for defense. I don't know what they do, but they could. But if they could bring in somebody, right. that would be the best thing that they could possibly do. I mean, the trade deadline isn't until August, but in order to make this run, I mean, I can't even think of who's available right now, but right. They need to get a defensive start at least, and bring in a ringer while Elizabeth Williams is out for the season. They didn't have any other center, so Brittany Griner. Here's the thing, Brittany. I just had a thought. Bear with me on it. If Brittany Griner has shown a little bit of vulnerability, particularly on Sunday against the Indiana Fever, who won that game pretty handily, and so. Brittany Griner only had 10 points in that game and had a real deficit of rebounding, which is,
it's strange for her.
The lady is a queen, of rebounding. However, on a team like Chicago, who has no defense, this would be a hell of a monster trade if you could get Brittany over
it's going to take the right package for that to happen. And speaking of packages, how about this to wrap up this package? The name Jessica Campbell should come to the mind of NHL fans because she is the first women's coach in the NHL, and I believe Seattle is the team that has her on their bench.
Yeah.
You know who's going to Seattle?
She is it. Seattle
My
Kraken.
brother, Brandon Montour.
Nice.
Yes.
Very nice.
She is going to be an assistant coach, the first one in the NHL with the Seattle Kraken. Now, the NHL is very late to the party on hiring women coaches. I mean, Becky Hammond broke it open by going to the San Antonio Spurs over a decade ago. And NFL has followed suit. You've got assistant coaches in virtually all of the NFL teams. So the NHL finally promoting someone who's had great success in the AHL with Seattle Kraken's minor league.
Coachella Valley Firebirds.
Thank you. Yes, I knew it was Coachella Valley. It was, they were in the Western Conference Finals this year. They've done extremely well, and their coaches, the Yardbirds coach is now the coach of the Seattle Kraken, and this woman has been a dynamo since her early days in Pee Wee League hockey, and she represented Canada in the Four Nations Cup. She's represented at very high levels as a player. She has been in the AHL now for a few years, and she's brought them success. So this is a great step forward. God knows, I would love to see somebody like Kendall Coyne get on the Blackhawks roster as a coach. I think that would be one of the smartest moves that Danny Wirtz could ever make, is putting her, she's worked with them before in various capacities, and this would be a perfect time for them to expand their coaching roster as well with somebody like a Kendall Coyne Schofield. That would be the best move for the struggling Chicago Blackhawks. She could be a mentor for Connor Bedard as he moves forward in his career. But Jessica Campbell,
don't forget Artyom Levshunov, the new defenseman star for the Chicago Blackhawks.
She could definitely be a mentor for him too. I'd love to see that. I would love to see more women coaching in the NHL, and I am still hoping for the one day where a woman would be a head coach in the NBA and the NHL.
Yes.
Wouldn't that be incredible? That would be absolutely incredible.
It's my fever dream, Brian.
Same here.
And why not?
Exactly. Why not?
I mean, look at the success that people like back in the day when Greg Popovich first hired Becky Hammond. I mean, those were great years for the Spurs, and the thing was, Becky moved on. What happened to the Spurs, man? I mean,
exactly.
Doesn't Becky have a couple rings on her tail?
Becky's got rings, and she's got
two rings.
2 rings, and then also you're talking about with the Aces, right?
Yeah.
As well as with San Antonio, and so she has got everything going for her. One thing that was really great, as bad as the score was for the Aces and the Sky last weekend, it was a beautiful reunion moment for Becky Hammond and Teresa Witherspoon, who were both on the Liberty, as you had mentioned earlier. That was it was a signature moment in meeting as teammates and then as coaches in this league.
That was a fabulous moment. That was an absolute fabulous moment. I love seeing things like that. I do. I absolutely adore seeing things like that. That's Allison Moran joining us as she does every Tuesday for this edition of The Token Female. You can find the audio version on all of your favorite podcast carriers and the video version on our new YouTube page, youtube.com/@snowmaninthemorning. My dear, it's always a pleasure and an honor to have you on. We appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Appreciate you too. Love to your beautiful wife.
I appreciate it. Thank you, my dear. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.